We now run a range of activities, whether those are outdoor, in-person, GPS-based challenges around city centres, games on site at hotels and venues, but also obviously more recently, hybrid and virtual events.
Hi everyone, I'm Louisa Daley, a CN reporter, and welcome back to another CN conference call. Today, I'm joined by Jonny Edser, who is the founder and managing director of Wildgoose. In this interview, Jonny is going to explain what Wildgoose's approach is to team building and reveal why it's so key to connect teams now more than ever. Hi Jonny, how are you doing?
Very well, thank you, Louisa. Lovely to see you.
Yeah, lovely to see you too.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So as I said in the introduction, I kind of want to get a feel for what Wildgoose does. So could you tell me a little bit about you guys and kind of what events you deliver?
Yeah, of course. We've been around since 2004, so quite a while. And what started off as a sort of outdoor paper-based treasure hunt business transferred to a sort of tech-based team building company in 2011. We now run a range of activities, whether those are outdoor, in-person, GPS-based challenges around city centres, games on site at hotels and venues, but also obviously more recently, hybrid and virtual events as well. So a full range of team activities from that cater for sort of 6 people up to thousands. And with bases in the UK and the US, we've got a pretty big global reach as well.
Yeah, great. Well, kind of thinking about team building then, why do you think this kind of topic has become so important in the industry? Is it because of the pandemic? Has it, because we're all kind of separated or working remotely, more remotely than we would? Has this kind of increased the need to connect each other now?
Yeah, I think a lot's changed for us all in the last 2 and a bit years. I think our working patterns have changed. I think people probably within an organisation spend less time together than they did. So there's less chance meetings in the office. There's less going for a sandwich at lunch with someone. There's probably less going for a drink after work. Those scenarios are harder because people have got different working patterns. There's a bit more flexibility. These are all positive things in my view in terms of our working life. But I think it has meant that team building is something that needs to be planned a bit more because it perhaps doesn't happen quite as naturally as it did. So putting together activities that encourage people to come into the office one day a month, for example, to make sure you've got a good get together and attracting people to come in, or whether it's using virtual events to connect people when it's harder to get people together, or people working more remotely. Wildgoose is a good example. Our business used to be very much focused around New York and London, and now actually our team is spread out throughout the US and the UK, with someone in Europe as well. So actually getting people together is harder for us. So I think it's ever more important, and also ever more accessible. And that's been a big thing that we've adapted to over the pandemic. It started with virtual events where you realize that you could provide activities in a much more accessible way from a price and convenience perspective. And we've extended that into in-person. So now that we're back to in-person events, we're taking some of the principles of virtual and we're using those for our in-person events. So we're now beaming via video link. Our trained hosts will beam into your meeting room or your phone or your laptop to brief the group in their office or their meeting room before they head out to play a game around a city centre or do an office-based game. So that's allowed us to provide more convenience, keep the price low, the same as what we used to offer what we still offer our virtual events. And all in all, I think it's made team building a lot more accessible for people so that they can do it something a bit more often. And it doesn't have to be something that takes up the whole day or involves bringing people from all over the world. It can be something that can just be used on a monthly basis if needs be, or an ad hoc basis. So yeah, it's changed a lot. The world has changed a lot. How we work has changed a lot. And ultimately, Wildgoose, how we deliver team building has changed a lot. And I think that's it's all a positive thing. So I think it's an exciting time to be in the industry, certainly.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I know you touched on kind of the events that you guys put on, so whether it's virtual, hybrid or in person. Obviously, you guys are experienced in this. So from your experience, what have you found is the best approach when it comes to team building, or what's, the most popular, or is it kind of, there's all benefits to all of them?
Yeah, I mean, obviously during the pandemic, we went 100% to virtual events. And now we're out of the pandemic. Not everywhere in the world's out of the pandemic, but it feels a bit more normalized. We're still delivering about 35% of our events as virtual, about 10% hybrid, and the rest are in person. So it hasn't gone completely back to in person. And I think the reason for that is that different styles of events work for different companies. Hybrid is something that increasingly we're getting asked about because, it's harder to get people together. Maybe you've recruited people who are based a bit more geographically spread, and therefore having hybrid or virtual events works very well. Likewise, we're seeing obviously a big surge in person. Obviously in the UK, the sun is out. People love being outside. They want to get together. We haven't been able to do that. So obviously in-person is incredibly popular as well, but it's not a practical solution for everyone all the time. And again, take Wildgoose as an example. We've got 25 people in our team that are based all across the UK and the US. We've got someone in Europe as well. We do a monthly activity, which is virtual, but we also get the team together. We did a big global conference in March where we got all the team together, and we did some in-person activities, and we went out for a meal. But on that monthly basis, in order for us to, keep coming back and having fun together and relaxing and playing games and things, those virtual events are really easy to organise, really accessible, and they work really well for us. Now, if you're all back in the office, I totally get that doing a virtual event would feel a bit weird, but therefore having the in-person options are really applicable as well. That chance to get people connecting, because nothing beats that. It's great to have that human contact. We all like that. So for me, I don't see virtual as being better or worse than in person. I think they meet a different need. And price wise, they fit a slightly different niche. They're more accessible, so you can actually have more opportunities to bring people together without necessarily having to spend a lot more money, which we know is important at the moment. The price of everything is going up. We bucked the trend, actually. Our prices have gone down. Our in-person events, if you'd organise an event for 100 people with us, a GPS challenge around London, for example, pre-pandemic, it would cost you the best part of £4,500. We'd have been on site with iPads, and we'd have sent a team in. Now, for 100 people, it's a third of the price. And that's because we beam in. We don't provide iPads. People use their own phones. People are very comfortable with that now than they were pre-pandemic. So actually, with prices going down, it makes it more accessible. It's something that people say, actually, we could do it a bit more often, or we could mix it up with virtual. We could do something on a monthly basis. We can involve the team in Amsterdam. We've brought out this great product called Multi-City, where it's an in-person GPS challenge, but you can book it online on our website and have up to 5 locations included in that game. So if you've got an office in Amsterdam, Paris, Madrid, London, and Edinburgh, for example, you could choose each of those locations. Our system drops the game into each of those locations. So everyone is playing the same game. They all join the same video briefing with our live host. And then they head out into their respective cities to play the game, unlock the questions and challenges, complete. So they're having a shared experience because we bring them back together again to show them the best photos at the end. Even though they haven't left their cities, they're able to have a shared experience. Now, something like that, to organise that in person would be a big undertaking. It might be something you do once a year. But the idea that you could now do a multi-city activity with your different offices for the same price as a regular one city event, and it could be booked at as little as 48 hours notice for a third of the price of what you would have paid. It sort of almost defies logic a little bit, but it works and it's brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think events are all about shared experiences. So whether you do this in person, in hybrid or virtual, it doesn't really matter as long as you're bringing people together.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks so much for your time, Jonny. It was great catching up.
No, thank you very much for having me. Thank you.
And thanks everyone for watching. I'll see you in the next interview.